Hello, good morning, and happy Thursday. Almost done with the week. Let's see, what are we working on? We are continuing to work on deploying this first feature out. So we've reset Pulumi. I'm sort of like trying, like going over again, and maybe doing it just a little bit simpler than we did last time. And we ran into an issue where it was complaining about certificates. So if we want to have a custom domain name, then we need to have a certificate set up for that too. So if I want something like brooksbuilds.com or www.brooksbuilds.com, I have to have an ACM certificate with that. So that's what we need to do next for this specific thing. So we need a Brooks Build certificate. That's great. We have that. You were, oh right, this needs information. So secret authority area, certificate body. Don't know if it's any of those. I don't want to like set up those things. I want it to be like the automatic one. But domain name. Okay. So domain name is that. Now I'm reusing that down here, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking I should probably set this up either as a variable or as a constant inside of here. A constant would be fine, I think, for now. So this is going to be our so just in case it's not like Brooks Builds in the future, we'll just call this like domain name. Okay, so if I just have that, I'm now curious if I do my Pulumi up, what's gonna happen? Okay, so let's try that. I believe that the next thing though is that I need to verify. Yeah, okay. So certificate authority ARM or validation method must be set. Okay, so inside of here we need a validation method. What are you? You're a string. Which method to use for validation? DNS or email are valid. None can be used for certificates that were imported. So DNS. Okay, that's great and all. And I think this will work, but then I need to actually validate the domain before it actually, works. Failed. Let's see. It failed. SSL support method. Failed to satisfy constraint. Member must satisfy enum value set, static AP, SNI only, or VIP. Okay, so that's back to Cloudfront again. So this is distribution config. Viewer certificate. SSL support method. you're a string and you don't have much details, but it must be a static IP, SNI only, or VIP. I think this is going to be SNI only, but let's go look at the documentation. Okay, so what was this? This was in the viewer certificate. SSL support method string. Great. Example usage. Yeah, that one's not that one's using the default certificates. That's not helpful because they're using the name for that. Although some part of me wonders, can I use like an alias? Like there's an alias DNS record that I potentially can use, and that might allow me to use the other certificate. Probably not. No, probably not. This is just going to theirs. So, all right. So I need to figure out what this like SNI only thing is. So we need to go to ACM AWS. Where's the actual real documentation on it? Like, this is the sales documentation. I don't see SNI in here at all. All right, I'm gonna go in and see if maybe like I can find certificate manager. Okay, so if I say request a certificate, a public certificate. Okay, so fully qualified domain name, DNS validation, and then tags. Well, that doesn't give me much information. Well, I don't think it's going to be a static IP, and I don't think it's a VIP. So SNI only, as I think, is the only one that I possibly can do for myself. So where is this Cloudfront? Oh, this is a Cloudfront thing. Never mind. Hold on. Go to Cloudfront. Once I'm in here. I'm looking for where it would have like SNI only as an option, and I'm not exactly sure where. This is under the viewer certificate. That should be under settings. Oh, because it didn't get created yet. Oh, interesting. Okay. A custom SSL certificate optional. Associate a certificate from AWS Certificate Manager. The certificate must be in the US East North Virginia region. Oh, I'm in US East. That's fine. If I was somewhere else, then I would have to be, I would have to like then also create it in US East 1. That's interesting. That kind of sucks too. All right, well, let's search for AWS. This is Cloudfront SNI only. Okay, so the SNI is server name indication, or use a dedicated IP address in each edge location. Okay, so we're going to use server name indication for this. So that makes sense. That's what SNI is. And SNI only, compared to like these choices that we have, that's what we want to do. Let's see. SL support method to be one of. Oh, it's an array. You're an array? No, you're a string. Expected viewer certificate. Oh, wait, are you an array? No. Huh. Interesting. I'm that 0. Okay. What do you need this to be? Yeah, viewer certificate is just an object like this. And you're a string too. Okay. I'm surprised that has a problem. Let's see, or at least according to this error message. So platform has a problem. Expected viewer certificate at 0. SSL support method to be one of SNI only. Got SNI only. Oh, wait. Suppose a comma inside the string is slightly invalid. There we go. Now you're happy. All right, let's see if this works. Updating this always take. Oh, okay. Error. The specified SSL certificate doesn't exist. Isn't in USC's one. Isn't valid or doesn't include a valid certificate chain. Okay, so it doesn't exist yet because, yeah. Actually, no, I see it. Amazon issued. Okay, so it's. Okay, I think it's because it's not validated yet. So we need to validate this next. Which means we need to create some records in S3. Now, if I remember correctly, this Brooks Build certificate, I can now, I just need to create a record. And I think there's something, let's see, Brooks Build certificate dot, set of domain validation objects which can be used to complete certificate validation can have more than one element. Only set of DNS. Okay, so if we do this, you are an array. So I want to do a. Oh, but you're this weird output. So if I do apply, then we get a function. So then I want this, these domain validation options. Well, actually, it's going to be a single one, I think. Maybe it's all of them. Let's see what it is. Now, something dot. Right, okay, so this is now essentially all of these. Now I can do domain validation options dot for each. Each one of these is a certificate domain validation option. So we get a domain name, a resource record name, a resource record type, and a resource record value. Okay, so I need to now create a new oh, okay, so now we're going to pull in Route 53. Now, whatever, I guess this is all synchronous. So I can create a like the domain validation options here as an empty array, and I can then push these in here. So oh, no. That's not right. I do want these domain validation options, but this is the entire array, isn't it? Can I concat? I can concat with the two arrays, right? So don't push it, I would concat it. You are this certificate domain validation option. hold on. I need to do this again. Okay, so it's not concat here. I guess then we'll do a for each. So for each, we'll get your options. Now you're an option. Now you're this type and I want to push you in. Can I just push you in here? Okay, I can. Although you have an explicit any type, which is not great. I want you to be specifically, you're filled with these types. Okay, so then as soon as I get to this line, I can loop through these because I have all of the options and I don't have to be inside of here. Hello, Uncle Scientist. Yes, I know. I've been waking up half an hour earlier than previous, so which is nice. I'm sort of experimenting with it right now to see if it's something we want to do. Like eventually, if I could work up, an hour earlier than I previously was, that would get me so much more time in the day to actually work on the stuff that I really want to work on. Because after work already is just sort of like, I'm just gonna play some games, gonna relax, try to recover my brain. So the morning time is usually when I get to do fun, businessy type, this type of stuff. So yeah, I actually started at almost half an hour ago. Uncle Scientist, how was your stream today? I saw sort of like a little bit of you working on the editor, getting some tests to pass, all sorts of fun stuff. You edited editor code, nice. There's a fast-moving spider on my wall that just popped out of nowhere and is going somewhere in a hurry. But as long as he's on the wall, I'm okay with it. Just don't become a floor spider. Are you trying to put your knowledge of Rust and traits to good use? Nice. Well, I mean, it sounded like it was going well. Okay, so I need to create, I wonder if I want to do this. Okay, I probably want to do something like const, I want to store these into another array, so I'm going to map through the domain validation options, and so this becomes domain validations. Route 53 domain validations. Okay, so then I have one of these, and I need to create a new Route 53 entry. And we'll push that in to, actually we'll just return this, right? So return new, we need a record. Right, this needs to be unique for each one of these. So Okay, so name. Name I think these are pretty simple, right? So I want domain validation option dot domain name. Type. Dot resource record type. Zone ID. Oh, you don't have a zone ID. Oh, so I need to get the zone ID. Oh. Get zone provides details about a specific Route 53 hosted zone. Okay. So that is just arguments. Okay, I got name. It's not a private zone. Okay, so I think name, and then the name is gonna be domain name. I think that's how it works. You return a promise. Okay, so we're in a map. I can maybe async await this. Well, I actually only need to do this once, don't I? But if I need to do this once, now we're in a state where I need to make sure that this is all in sort of like a main folder to like make sure it runs appropriately. I don't know if I need to like really do this super efficiently. And I wonder if GetZone is going to, I think this is going to only run once anyways. So maybe twice when I do the dub one too. Maybe. Okay, so GetZone. So I now need to await this. That gives me a zone ID. Oh. No, because I can't do a promise because that's not going to work correctly with a map. I would have to use like a manual for loop with a slow. I don't want to take over because that might cause, yeah. The zone ID should exist after this one. Otherwise, it would fail to get it. And to throw an error, so that should be fine. So, then have the zone ID, because then you become zone ID dot ID. You're happy. What else do we have? We have domain name, resource record name. The name of the DNS record to create. Oh, resource record name. That's what this needs to be. And then resource record value. Okay. Do you have a value? Oh, is it records? I think that's what I want to do is set it like this. You need a get zone and a set zone. I could possibly do that, but it wouldn't really change this. That it needs to be asynchronous. You need to specify what kind of record. That is this one right here. Type of record is being set. And then here's the name being set. And then I think the value is here. That one seemed to be a little bit more confusing to me. Take a look at Route 53. So if I search for value, there's only, okay, there's 7 of them. Oh, that's not what I want. Yeah, record is probably the value. So this is what that is. And I only see a single thing here, but this requires an array. I have a name right here. It's dynamically being created for me by the, this is a validation record for the AWS Certification Manager certificate, which I think behind the scenes is Let's Encrypt, but it might be they might have their own certificate identity too. I don't remember. But they handle all this for you. Okay, so I do that, and that gives me this thing, and then there's a way for me to verify that it works. This is validated certificate. I don't actually know if I need to store this. So AWS ACM. Well, there's this thing right here, certificate validation. This resource represents a successful validation of an ACM certificate in concert with other resources. Most commonly, this resource is used together with AWS record and AWS certificate to request a DNS validated certificate, deploy the required validation records, and wait for validation to complete. This resource implements a part of the validation. Right, okay, so this is not a real thing in AWS. This is basically, we can do this to then have other things wait on it. So it basically, this halts my program until it's good. So certificate validation. So I could use NSLookup to check, but I need to tell Pulumi to not try to do the Cloudfront distribution until this finishes. That's what but an NSLookup is going to make it, I have to write all that halting like code, and this is going to be relatively easy for me to do that myself. So this is domain name validation. Okay, so certificate ARN. So these are going to be the Brooks build certificate. I did a let here. That should be a constant. That was my Rust pulling through. So Brooks build certificate dot ARN. Validation record FQDNS. List of FQDNS that implement the validation, only valid for DNS validation method ACM certificates. If this is set, the resource can implement additional sanity checks that has an explicit dependency on the resource that is implementing the validation. Nice. Okay, so we can just make absolute sure that things are set for us. So then, where do I get those though? Oh, certificate and validation args. Oh, so these are from, oh, the validated certificate. Wait, no, not that one. This one, the validations. Oh, okay, so then you're an array of strings. So I potentially want to do Route 53 domain validations dot. This is an array, so I can do a map. Wait, you're a promise? Oh, you are a promise because of this thing here. Oh, gross. Oh, okay. So I think what I need to do, just to make things a little bit easier on myself, because I really want to like have awaits in more places, especially if we're getting like, yeah, okay. So I want to have a main function so that you can be your constant. You're a constant. Actually, I want to change stack. Then let's do a function. Okay, so I want an async function main. I don't pull anything in, and I'm going to return a promise any. And all of you into the pool. So everybody's in here, but now this is an async function, which means I can now come down here. So you return, okay, so you are going to be a promise with all of these arrays in it. So if it's a promise of arrays, I can wait for it by doing an await promise.all here. Okay, so now process all of these, and now I have the actual records here. So validated certificate, I now have access to you. You're the actual record. So what do I have access to? I have get provider. FQDN. That's what I want. Pulumi output string. Okay, so that then returns here, and that makes you happy. Then I can take this validated certificate, and I want to tell cloud distribution wait until that happens. So that's going to be here, a special option argument for Pulumi. I want to depends on, and it's going to be this validated certificate. So it depends on you finishing. All right, this one might take a while because it's going to set up DNS. Oh, are you going to tell me you're going to delete everything? Yeah, you're going to tell me you're to delete everything because it's not running this code. So then I need to run this code. So main dot then. Actually, can I export I want to export the result of this. So export const main export default. Yeah, I wonder, because I want to export the result of calling it, right? So export default main. Okay, let's try that. All right. King, hello. How are you doing today? Also, if I don't remember, did I say hello to you, homeless? If I didn't, I'm sorry. And here's a hello. Okay, so it's happy about that. We'll see if this works and if we're able to successfully create our certificate validation. I'm doing good so far. That spider is now out of sight, which is hopefully a good thing. I was keeping it. It was on a wall and like moving really fast on the other side of the room. But it was going away from me, so that's a good thing. Okay, so on my other screen, I can... So it's certificate validation. I can probably go to Route 53 and maybe see these get created. I don't think so yet. It's creating the Route 53 validation first? Huh. It almost feels like it's not creating the records. Because these should be created, and I don't actually see these here. I see platform, account validation. These should be validation records. I wonder if this name was too long for it, or if for some reason these didn't exist. Huh. I think this is gonna just... This is gonna sit here forever. Because it's not actually creating the records for some reason. So Pulumi didn't actually see that it needs to create the records. Let me see. We have these validations in here, so we're just going down. I await this. Promise it all. Okay, so I think this needs to be rewritten. I'm going to cancel you. You're just going to halt forever, and it's not going to be happy. New ACM certificate. I don't think it is. Let's find out. New ACM certificate. This does not. No, it does not return a promise, so it is not. It is not asynchronous. And it's a class. Can you have async stuff in the constructor? Can that be an async thing? I don't know. That'd be interesting. Because then you could have like an asynchronous class. Okay, but so we create the certificate. So domain name validation. So we already had this previously. Now I created this array here, and I went through all of these. Okay, so I can take these domain validation options, and I can, at the very end, maybe return these. I want to see what we get. Nothing. Okay, so it's showing that it is nothing. I guess that makes sense. So this is an empty array, so therefore none of this happens. So this is the incorrect way to handle this. So if I take my certificate, main validation options, only set if DNS validation was used, DNS validation is being used. Okay, let's actually go take a look at Pulumi for... how's main used in Pulumi? Do they execute this with async or promise? So they run by file, and then because I have the parentheses here on main, when I export, it executes automatically. And then they're okay with it being an asynchronous function. They sort of handle that themselves. And then whatever's returned from it, they then put as an output here. So I can sort of like see what's happening. So it's one of the few debug options I have to sort of like understand what's actually happening inside of all this code. If I try it, yeah, I could try it with this. I don't think it will change anything, but we can see if it works relatively, like if it still works. Nope, notice that it's going to delete everything because it didn't find anything to run. So I didn't execute anything. So I'm going to need that. And if it was going to recreate them, that would be one thing, but it's just deleting them. So it didn't find anything. So it doesn't actually know that main is that. I'm making that up. I'm basically just like pulling that from old C standard, where it's like, okay, the main function that we're running with, that's what it is. It doesn't really understand that. It just wants to run this and have it go. Okay, so I want... is it Route 53? Oh, but it's not Route 53, is it? It's an ACM. A certification validation. Okay, so we create a new certificate. We get the zone. Oh, interesting. So they just get the zone and that's a promise in here. Okay. Then... Okay, then they do the same pattern that we do. Where do I set up NS records in the zone? Oh, so in, oh, it's already done. So like I had already created a brooksbuilds.com record in Route 53. That already exists. And it already has the namespaces set up and everything else for that. So what I'm trying to do is create essentially a certificate for the root brooksbuilds.com to then do the appropriate thing. Okay, so they get a zone and they allow this to just be synchronous. So I want to kind of try that. So if I don't have this be synchronous, I can't imagine that's going to work, but here, we're going to try it. We're going to see if this this does a thing. You need to fill some code for the certificate in your CNAM record so your certificate provider knows the domain belongs to you. Oh yeah, so I already have that. Like I know like the domain does belong to me and I have all of that, like the basic setup. But it's not the domain that I'm configuring right now, but a certificate, so a TLS certificate. So I create this certificate. That does this here. And then we do these. Then we get the zone. So I want to get the zone here. And they're not awaiting that. And this is TypeScript. Okay, so we get the zone. I mean, I can use something like the river pattern for this, but eventually not. I want to try following their example because maybe they can handle promises. So then they have these example records. So that's what we have right here. So these are the, so I guess these are going to be the domain validation records. And then you're going to be an actual record. So AWS Route 53 record, an array of those. Then they're looping through the domain validations dot apply. Oh, look at that. Well, that's a nasty thing. Oh, that's so gross. What are they doing? This is okay, so this is all part of, where is range actually used? Down here? Right here. This is the closing parentheses to this opening one for the for loop. Oh my gosh. What did they do? This is horrible. This is documentation too, meant to tell you what is happening. Okay, so they do object.entries to get it short but not clean. I think the problem is, and like this is where like in documentation you're supposed to be just like very clear, right? Like this is exactly how it works. So that way I can figure out how to like do this stuff on my own if I like really understand how all of this works together. But I don't really want. I really don't. So it's almost like I have to just pull this in and do this myself. So for const range of object entries, now example certificates, this is going to be the Brooks build certificate. Dot apply, we have domain validation options. Okay, so apply. Apply is a Pulumi thing where it's going to take all the stuff and just make it available to me so I can change it. So I do that, and then I redo. Okay, so I take this thing and it's an array of these validation objects, of these validation options. I reduce it. I have this object that it's turning into, and then I have the next thing, which is not being used, interestingly enough. I am then extracting into object. It's like spreading the object, and DVO domain name. I'm surprised that doesn't recognize it's being used. Oh, can I find name DVO? It's right here. Huh. This is a type. You're trying to return this, aren't you? I think they're trying to return this. Well, that's a problem. So then you are this one. Let's wrap you in parentheses. So the problem with reduce here is that if I use a parenthesis, if I use curly brackets like that, it thinks it's a block and not actually an object being returned. So if I wrap this in parentheses, which you see often in React, that then makes this like a singular thing that gets returned. And now I can return just an object like this. I think that's a bug in their code. Okay, so then I'm returning this object. I'm spreading out this object or whatever that is. And then taking DVO and adding in the domain name as a dynamic key, and then its value is another object here, where I then have this name, record, and type. So name, value, and type. No, I don't need to use return because this auto returns right here. Because it's a fat arrow. And I'm not using curly brackets because I wrapped it in a parentheses. Isn't JavaScript fun? It's like a puzzle where you get to create all sorts of weird stuff. It's no fault of yours. This is a gnarly piece of code where it's like lots of curly brackets, lots of parentheses. It's very easy to sort of get lost inside of this one. So then that goes, you have solved it this way. Yes, that would be a definitely way to do it. I could skip this and then just wrap it again another one, and maybe that would be better. But okay, so we go through here, then it maps. So which one is this? The problem is I have so many parentheses, my colorizer for the parentheses has like reset in the middle of it. So I have like multiple purples, multiple blue things. So I have this blue one, which is that one here. So then you're this. Okay, so this is the object entries. So object entries, then I map through those. I get the key and the value from that. And then we're setting, I believe this is the exact same problem again. I need to return this as an object. Key value, okay. Now I'm in the for loop. And so I want this domain validation records, push into you, a new AWS Route 53 record, example records. This is going to be domain name, range key, interesting. Allow overwrite true, name, range value, records, is that TTL 60 seconds. Is it 60 seconds or minutes? Yeah, no, that's very true. I'm getting this like to work first, and then we're gonna see what we can do to refactor this to make this slightly better. And if I can't figure out a good way to refactor it, we're gonna create a function and we're going to hide that. We're gonna abstract all this complexity away behind a name. Okay, so it's seconds. So this is expensive. I want probably a minimum hour, possibly 24 hours. Let's do minimum 1 hour right now. Yeah, they want to make it low for faster update, but yeah, so how about this? Let's do a required config for this. So I can do a Pulumi config set domain TTL, and I want to set this to, let's say 60 right now. Okay. And okay, so before we start all this stuff, I need to get the config. All this stuff is indented in one by accident. Okay, then here I want to grab that config, so we're going to do a config dot require, so it will absolutely require number. So it will fail if it doesn't exist, and it will fail if it's not a number. And I want this to be domain TTL. Okay. Type AWS Route 53 record. The property record type does not exist on type of on Route 53. Oh, because record type is like that. No. What are you upset about? Element implicitly has an any type because expression of type any can't be used to index type read only a I can't index this. I think I have to just do this as a range that value the type then. Use as any. Or are you talking about like before I index it as any? It doesn't like that. Yeah, but now it doesn't like this. Can I find namespace range, which is from here, and range exists and works here. So now that makes this unhappy. Okay, so if I want the type, so this is Rev 53 record type. Element implicitly has an any type because expression of type any can't be used to index type. Okay, so this one. Okay, so this has an any type explicitly or implicitly or whatever it is. And I want you to be a string. So range value type is an any. That's our problem. Use TypeScript to not use type check for that rule. It just feels strange. Also, I don't know if this is necessary because I think we can just do range value type for this. Because I think that is a valid type. I think it was just doing a lookup to something it already is. So I'm just gonna do that and we're gonna see how it works. Zone ID. Okay, so then oh, then here's where they do this promise then, which still returns a promise. But okay, got it. So this is gonna be our zone ID here. So I want zone ID dot then zone ID, and then I want zone ID dot ID. Okay, you're happy there. Oh, so I can tell it to TS ignore comment to disable type checking. Yeah, we can try that. I want to see if this works first, and then if we have to do the other thing, then we'll figure that out. I want to like avoid doing those like comments in there if I can. Okay, so this creates the validation records, so that pushes this in here. So that's replaced with this. Then we have a certificate validation. And so then you are now these domain validation records. We map through and we do that. Okay. Do you work? No. Line 34, 35, and 37, we have unknowns. 34, 35, and 37, we have these unknowns. So maybe now we can tell it. So ignore type checking for this. $34. Something like that. Missing required property name. Like this? Are you undefined? You're undefined, aren't you? Line 32. Oh, so this thing fails because it needs a name here. So this name doesn't exist. All right. I don't see anything else from my code. All right, so the name doesn't exist. That's a problem. So this name is what we're trying to return out of here for this fun thing. Map with a key value pair. I don't think that if I let's see, can I don't think I can console log here. Is there like a Pulumi log? Oh, there is a Pulumi log. Okay, so can I Pulumi log? I want key and value. This expression is not callable. Oh, cool. Okay, so I'm not allowed to do log. I can throw new error and put in key. Oh, they're renaming it. They're renaming it. So we have K and V. I find K name. Oh no, it will be key. No, okay, hold on. I'm in this. Oh, I'm in the for loop. Oh, so I have range. So I have like range of object entries. Oh, okay, got it. I don't even have range? Wait. Constant range has this key and value. Oh, they're attempting to destructure this out here, but I don't think that's working. Oh, yeah, okay, I see. Range dot value to name, that's what they want. So I want to see range dot value. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. How about this? JSON dot stringify range. There you go. That's my error message. This should allow me to see what the heck is going on in here. Okay, so we have key is this Pulumi output, and value is true. Okay. That's the first time through I get this Pulumi output. Interesting. Okay. All right. So what do I need to do here? We're grabbing these domain validation records out. I'm attempting to do a push from within a map within a for loop. That's gross. Also, my indentation is all weird here. Because it should be something like this to show the complexity off. If range length is greater than one row, yeah, we could do, okay, we can do this for every, oh yeah, this is gonna be fun. So for every single one, so that clearly that's the first one through, right? Let's start with just like understanding what are we looking at. Let's take a look at object.entities entries. Oh, so then I have this map. No, because that returns this thing. So then you are, okay, you're the for loop. Oh, so I've reduced object entities down into this thing. So I can then do we'll do a length, and so map, we have index and the full array. So then I want this to be the array dot length index, kind of like tell you I don't care that it's not used. Oh, wait, this is the wrong thing. Hold on. I didn't realize the square brackets there. So then we have index and the array here. There we go. So the first thing is really this array, and we're destructuring it into key value here, which then gets turned into an object like this. And we can see what the length is. Great. Which in this case, we can do another one of these. So let's JSON stringify range. And now we should also see key value, which is that weird Pulumi output thing, but I should now also see the length. The length is 8. There are 8 of these things. Interesting. But something also interesting is that it is attempting to do this blindly on them. I want to say that their documentation just isn't right, or it's just so confusing it's completely unhelpful. Okay, so with the general idea of what we want to do, I need to create the domain validation records, and we need to push the results of that in here. So let's start over again. The idea is that we're going to loop through each of the certificates that we have, and then we're going to get the domain validation options. We can do an apply to that. which then gives us the information. Okay, so these are going to be, we have our records here. Okay, so that's good. Now I want to loop through, so we're going to do Brooks build certificate dot domain validation options. We're going to do it and apply. Domain validation options. Okay, so what do we have in here? We have now, okay, now we have a for each. Now I have access to this domain name, resource record name, resource record type, and resource record value. Okay, great. So I want to do a domain validation records push. We're going to do a new AWS dot ACM certificate validation. Then this is going to be let me grab the index of this out too, and that's what I'll use for this. So the domain validation option index, domain name, domain validation option index here. Okay, so certificate ARN is going to be the Brooks build certificate .ARN. Validation record. Oh wait, no, I'm doing the wrong thing. These are the records, not the validation. Wrong thing. I'm doing it wrong. Okay, so these are new AWS Route 53 record. So in this case, it would be domain name, domain validation option dot record name. What do they do this as the name for it? Oh, is the range key with this key being, I have no idea what that is. Maybe the index for that. I'll just use the index for this. So, domain validation option index. So then what I probably want to do is like something like validation. Like so, brooksbuilds.com validation 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, then we have name is going to be this domain validation option domain name, type domain validation option dot resource record type. Zone ID is this zone ID dot then okay. Okay, you don't necessarily need anything else. I'm going to leave you like this. And so this is pushed into the domain validation records. And then we have a certificate validation. So I want to see if this at least claims it's going to try to do the thing. Hey, look at that. Okay, it is. So brooksbills.com validation 0. Let's do a no for right now. So it's now going to do that. Is there any way to write tests for this, or is the only way to keep poking at it until it works? There is a way, because it's code. Yes, we can write tests for this. I haven't necessarily figured out good tests to write for it. Like I saw Pulumi's sort of like suggestion for like how to write tests were really just things like, it has this name and, you know, it has DNS set for it, which to me is not necessarily helpful as tests, because it's not testing the logic. It's just testing these like values, which could also just be config variables that are like passed in. So yeah, I'm not yet sure how to properly test for it, besides, hey, it works, it runs. But once it runs, you immortalize it into GitHub, and now like you know that it works. Okay, so we got this validation 0, and then we have this next validation here. So this is a certificate validation, and so validation record FQDNS takes these records. So these are the domain validation record. Domain validation record, and I get FQDN. I map that into here. Okay, so then are you happy with this? Let's try it. Oh, and then Cloudfront, you are waiting for a validated certificate to finish. Validated certificate will just sit there and wait until the other one's done. Okay, let's try it. So, oh, this failed. Network error? Trying to go to localhost? Oh, look at that. TTL field required field is not set. Oh, that's me. Well, that's interesting. The Route 53 record here has a TTL field that's absolutely required, but okay, sure. Config dot require number. What did I call this? No, it's a little bit more complicated than me just preferring manual testing, and more of like, I don't know how to test it automatically properly yet for this type of thing. For like coding type stuff where I'm like coding actual features on a website, I like to use something like Cypress for end-to-end testing. Maybe I'll use like Jest and do something with unit testing. Integration testing or end-to-end testing is like often if I'm only going to choose like one set, I'm going to choose those because that actually tests everything, and I required those. But yeah, I'll have some kind of automated testing no matter what. For Pulumi, I haven't figured out how to properly do that, and then have the tests be high quality, because I can write tests, but if they're not good tests, what's the point? Okay, so I think my stack which, by the way, if I take a look at this Pulumi production YAML, it shows me this is my stack. This is my one there. So, okay, require number, domain TTL. Let's try this again. Okay, and then you know what I want to do also is for these domain validation options, at least for the first one. So domain records, can I tell you to wait? So depends on, oh, look at that. It can take an array. So I can do these domain validation records here. So don't even start until these are done. It would be just nice to be able to ensure something doesn't break while you're getting something new working. Yeah, I know. And that would require for me to like write the test to do this requires me to really deeply understand how it's working. So that way I can write the tests adequately. Now, I suppose in a way, this is kind of testing stuff for me, right? Because it's not allowing me to deploy this and like run this if it's not going to like affect AWS properly. So in a way, these are kind of like my tests for this. It's just not automated tests in a way. Okay, so we're going to create the validation record. We're going to create this, and we're going to update CloudFront. We're going to add aliases, and then everything else stays the same, I think. Also, why are you trying to create the validation? You failed right away with this. Records required field not set. Oh yeah, well that's a problem. Records, and so this is going to be the domain validation option dot resource value. You're a string, so you need to go into an array. That. Okay, let's try again. CNAME, so RR set of type CNAME with DNS name brooksfields.com is not permitted at Apex and zone brooksfields.com. Oh, so I'm not allowed to do this. They build Pulumi with defensive programming techniques. I mean, hopefully. I haven't like looked through their source code. Their examples are sometimes a little bit weird and off. Like for example, what we just saw is like that was just completely broken and not helpful at all. But some of them are really great and it works really well. So hopefully they're programming with like the most defensive programming techniques possible. Still, despite the weirdness and the funkiness, this is faster and probably higher quality than I can do if I was trying to wrap around the AWS CLI myself or the AWS APIs. And the API for AWS in Rust is beta still. Haven't looked into it. But all the AWS APIs have been really gnarly and sort of like not easy and intuitive to use. Okay, so it doesn't want me to, oh, it's not domain name. It's resource record name. So I attempted to overwrite brooksbuilds.com with this stuff. And it was like, no, you can't do that. That's really terrible idea. So that is a little bit of defensiveness there that they saved me from doing something stupid. Okay, it didn't fail instantaneously. That's a good sign. All right, let's see. Okay, I see a new one. I see a new record has shown up with a really gnarly name. But it is pointing towards an ACM validation. Okay, that's great. It's only one. Okay, there it is. It's created, and so now it's validating. That's probably why they needed to be 60 seconds to begin with, because it then takes 60 seconds for it to validate. Otherwise, I would have to do this part. It would fail the validation, and then I would have to like come back in an hour and try again. And so this is where then I can change it after this to be significantly longer for the Route 53 record. But I have that in my in a config variable now, so I can very easily change that and just say, okay, go longer, be much longer. Even so, it sort of like takes longer than it feels like it should. If I go to Certificate Manager, you're pending validation still. So it's just sitting there waiting. Now I'm hoping that it did this correctly. Okay, so I can double check the... All right, so domains. Pending validation. I can go like actually double check that these got created correctly. Not well. A weird dot at the end, which I don't think is. Okay, so I found that one. Does that record name need to have? No, it shouldn't have a dot in front of it. And then the value should be set to this thing. Which it is, okay. With that, okay, the dot is at the end of the value one. The record name does not have a dot. I wonder if I would need to set that. I am running out of time though, so I might just let this continue running Even if I cancel it, it's still in AWS at this point in time. Domain at the end, you think for validation, for the value. So the value has the dot at the end. The period, I guess. The record does not. But I wouldn't imagine that the record should have a dot at the end of it. That just feels strange. Here's my alarm for domain. You can remove it at the end. Okay, so that makes sense then. So then everything looks like it's right in Route 53 according to the information that I can actually see in the console for this certificate. So what is my, I guess like that's another good question. What is my Route 53 TLS? Did I 60 seconds time to live? Okay. Now, just because I say 60 seconds, that doesn't mean that it's like 60 seconds or less. Sometimes it can be more. It can take a little bit longer sometimes to like propagate out, especially if like other things are weirdness going on. So I think what I'll do, I just have to end the stream, unfortunately, because I can't just sit here waiting for this thing to turn green. I guess it's already green. To like actually complete. So sometimes AWS takes an hour to validate. Hopefully tomorrow's stream, I'll actually have this done and we'll like move on to the next stage, which is we'll see like whatever we need to do to get Cloudfront working, and then like customize it and tune it to like be proper. So with that, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Maybe you can write a Rust OS while you're waiting. I mean, maybe it would take me probably a little bit longer than the validation time, probably. But I do have a day job to get to, so I do have to head off to that and work with that team. I will take it. I'll keep an eye on this, and if there's any more little changes that we need to do, I'll see if I can like implement them, because it would be nice to actually work on something else tomorrow than just sitting here staring at this all day. But we'll see. Who knows? Keep an eye on Twitter, or I guess like Twitter is the biggest one, for if I have to skip the stream to do this. We'll see. So with that, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.